You won't believe what happened live on air? Bishop J. Drew Sheard's daughter broke down in front of thousands, tears streaming, as she revealed the unimaginable. Her father almost didn't make it. What she said next has the entire gospel community in shock, and the truth behind it is far darker than anyone expected. Stay with me, because what comes next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about one of the church's most respected leaders. What you're about to hear isn't something that makes the headlines every day. Bishop J. Drew Sheard has long been admired as a spiritual pillar in the gospel community, but behind the sermons and public appearances, a private struggle nearly turned into tragedy. During a live broadcast, his daughter's emotional breakdown stunned viewers, leaving many wondering what really happened. You won't believe the details she revealed, from life-threatening moments to family fears no one expected to surface publicly. In this video, we're diving deep into the untold story, the moments that almost broke a family, the shocking near-death experience, and the secrets kept from the public eye. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this revelation has sent shockwaves through the gospel world, and why it matters to anyone who follows the life of Bishop J. Drew Sheard. But what she shared live is only the beginning. The story behind the story is where it gets unbelievable. It all started during what was supposed to be a normal live broadcast. Bishop J. Drew Sheard's daughter appeared on screen, composed at first, smiling politely as if everything was fine. But within minutes, the atmosphere shifted. Her voice trembled, tears welled up in her eyes. And then, in front of thousands of live viewers, she broke down entirely. She revealed something that shook everyone watching. Her father had faced a life-threatening health crisis, a moment so dire that the family feared they might lose him. The words she spoke were raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal, a side of the Sheard family no one had seen before. Viewers flooded social media with shock and sympathy, but many were left asking, what really happened behind the scenes? What pushed her to reveal such a private, painful truth on live television? And just when it seemed like the story couldn't get more intense, she hinted at a hidden struggle, a challenge not just of health, but of faith, fear, and family loyalty. This was the first glimpse into a side of Bishop Sheard that the public rarely sees. But the story only gets more dramatic from here. What happened before this live breakdown is what truly explains the weight of her words, and it's far more than anyone could have imagined. The day of the incident started like any other, but for Bishop J. Drew Sheard and his family, it would quickly turn into a nightmare. According to sources close to the family, what began as a minor health concern escalated into a life-threatening emergency. At one point, the situation became so critical that doctors reportedly warned the family that his life was hanging by a thread. Inside the house, tension filled the air. Family members were in constant prayer, holding their collective breath as they awaited updates from the hospital. Imagine the fear and helplessness watching someone you love, a spiritual leader who has comforted thousands, suddenly struggle for every heartbeat. His daughter, who would later break down on live television, described the moments in the hospital as some of the scariest of her life. She revealed how she felt completely powerless, torn between public expectations and the private fear that her father might not survive. Every beep of the heart monitor, every pause in conversation, carried the weight of uncertainty. What makes this revelation even more shocking is the contrast between the public perception and the private reality. Bishop Sheard, often seen delivering sermons with confidence and authority, was at that moment just a man fighting for his life. It's a side of leadership that very few ever witness, the vulnerability behind the pulpit. And yet, despite the gravity of the situation, the family made a conscious choice to shield the public from the full extent of the crisis. Only fragments were shared, leaving the community to speculate, wonder, and sometimes assume the worst. It wasn't until his daughter's emotional live broadcast that the truth began to surface, peeling back the carefully maintained veneer to reveal the raw human struggle beneath. But what pushed her to go public, and why during a live broadcast? That question leads us into the next chapter, a chapter filled with emotional honesty, family dynamics, and a message that shook the gospel community to its core. When Bishop J. Drew Sheard's daughter took the live microphone, no one expected the storm that was about to unfold. For years, the Sheard family had been viewed as a model of strength and faith. Publicly, Bishop Sheard had always been the unshakable figure, the leader whose words brought hope, whose presence commanded respect. But in that moment, the carefully maintained image of perfection began to crumble. Her voice, trembling yet resolute, shared intimate details that the public had never heard. She described the panic, the sleepless nights, the constant prayers, and the moments when hope felt almost impossible to hold on to. The emotional weight of those words was palpable. Viewers could feel the raw fear, the uncertainty, and the love that bound the family together during the crisis. But beyond recounting the near-death experience, she also revealed deeper truths that had been hidden from the public eye. She spoke about the pressures of growing up in the shadow of a revered leader, the responsibility she felt to uphold the family's reputation, and the inner turmoil of witnessing someone you idolize struggle in ways that no sermon could prepare you for. The reaction was immediate. Social media exploded with messages of support, disbelief, and curiosity. Fans and followers couldn't believe the vulnerability displayed on such a public platform. Comments ranged from prayers for Bishop Sheard's health to expressions of gratitude for her honesty. But beneath the surface, there was an undercurrent of shock. How could a family so admired be facing such a profound crisis in private? And then came the part that left the audience stunned. In her heartfelt plea, she hinted at a choice her father had to make, a decision that could have altered not just his life, but the legacy of his ministry. She didn't give all the details, creating a tense pause that left millions hanging on every word. It was a cliffhanger, a moment that forced viewers to confront the fragility of life, even for those we consider larger than life. Her revelation wasn't just a story about fear or illness. It was a window into humanity, faith, and the pressures of public life. And as she spoke, one question echoed in every viewer's mind. What really happened in those critical hours when the family thought they might lose their patriarch? The answer is coming next, and it's far more intense than anyone could have imagined. Behind the scenes, the Sheard family faced a series of agonizing decisions. According to sources familiar with the situation, Bishop Drew Sheard's condition reached a critical point where every choice could determine life or death. Medical interventions, prayers, and spiritual guidance collided in a tense, almost cinematic sequence of events. The most shocking revelation came from his daughter herself. She hinted that at one point, her father had to make a choice that would challenge his faith, test his family's unity, and potentially redefine his future. Details remain scarce, but insiders suggest it involved both medical risks and deeply personal decisions about how he would confront his own mortality. While this was unfolding, the family endured sleepless nights filled with quiet anguish. There were moments when hope seemed to vanish, and fear gripped them tightly. Imagine being in that position, knowing the man who shaped your life, your faith, and your community was fighting a battle no one else could fight for him. The emotional toll was overwhelming. The daughter also shared that she had to step into a role she never anticipated. She became a pillar of strength, not just for her father, but for the extended family and even members of the congregation who sensed something was wrong. She describes the immense pressure of maintaining composure, answering worried calls, and praying constantly, all while keeping a brave face in public. What makes this story even more compelling is the delicate balance between public image and private struggle. Bishop Sheard is a respected leader. His congregation looks to him for guidance and stability. Revealing too much could have caused panic or misunderstanding. Yet, the daughter chose the live broadcast as her moment of honesty, a decision that took incredible courage and exposed the raw, unfiltered human side of faith and family. And then came the turning point, a moment that shifted the entire trajectory of the crisis. Reports indicate that with the support of family, faith, and the right medical care, Bishop Sheard began a slow, steady recovery. It wasn't immediate or easy. It involved painful treatments, rigorous monitoring, and countless prayers. Every small sign of progress became a victory, every smile a reminder of resilience. Yet even in recovery, the shadow of that near-fatal moment lingered. The daughter's live broadcast hinted at lingering fears, unresolved questions, and the emotional scars that would remain long after the hospital doors closed. It's a reminder that even when a life is saved, the story doesn't end there. The journey of healing, reflection, and family reconnection has only just begun. But the most compelling part of this story comes next. The impact of her revelation on the wider gospel community, and how this one candid moment sparked conversations no one expected. The reaction was unprecedented, and it exposed truths about leadership, vulnerability, and faith that had been largely hidden from view. The moment Bishop Drew Sheard's daughter revealed the truth live on air sent shockwaves through the gospel community. Thousands of viewers shared their astonishment, grief, and relief across social media platforms. For many, it was the first glimpse behind the polished public image of one of gospel's most respected leaders, a reminder that even spiritual icons face real-life struggles, uncertainty, and fear. Church members, Fellow pastors and fans flooded the comments with prayers, messages of support, and stories of personal inspiration. Many said the daughter's honesty encouraged them to speak openly about their own fears and struggles. It was a rare moment when a high-profile family displayed vulnerability so publicly, and it sparked conversations about the human side of faith, leadership, and family responsibilities. But the revelation also prompted deeper reflection. Some questioned why the crisis had been kept private for so long. Others wondered how leaders balance public expectations with personal realities. The daughter's live breakdown created a dialogue that went beyond the Sheard family, touching on a universal truth. Life is fragile, and even those we admire most can face moments that shake their world to its core. In sharing her story, the daughter highlighted the often overlooked emotional labor that families of public figures endure. From sleepless nights to constant worry, the weight of protecting both loved ones and public perception is enormous. Her courage to speak out opened the door for a conversation about mental, emotional, and spiritual resilience not just for the Sheards, but for anyone navigating life's unexpected crises. At the same time, there were lessons learned. Bishop Sheard's near-death experience underscored the importance of health awareness, the power of collective prayer, and the value of family unity in the face of adversity. The daughter's transparency reminded viewers that faith is not about perfection, but about perseverance, holding on when life tests your limits, and trusting in a higher purpose even in the darkest hours. Yet, even in the wake of this revelation, questions remain. How has this experience changed Bishop Sheard personally and spiritually? What steps has the family taken to heal from the trauma? And perhaps most importantly, what does this story teach us about the vulnerability of those we often see as untouchable or larger than life? These questions linger in the minds of viewers and followers alike, creating a sense of anticipation for the next chapter of their journey. One thing is certain, the live breakdown was more than a shocking moment, it was a turning point, a powerful reminder of human fragility, and a story that will continue to resonate across the gospel community for years to come. Bishop J. Drew Sheard's daughter's live breakdown was more than an emotional moment. It was a revelation that exposed the unseen struggles behind a life many only admired from afar. For years, Bishop Sheard has been celebrated as a spiritual leader, a voice of faith, and a figure of strength. Yet, in those critical hours, we were reminded that even the strongest among us face moments of fear, uncertainty, and vulnerability. Her story teaches us several important truths. First, life is fragile. No matter one's status, power, or faith, unexpected crises can strike at any time. Second, vulnerability is not weakness. By sharing her raw emotions publicly, the daughter gave countless others permission to acknowledge their own fears and every percent struggles. And finally, the strength of family and faith can be a lifeline during even the darkest hours. The public reaction showed just how deeply people resonate with authenticity. Support poured in not only from the gospel community but from viewers across the country, proving that shared human experience transcends titles and notoriety. The Sheard family's courage in facing this crisis and then speaking honestly about it is a testament to resilience, love, and faith in action. For Bishop Sheard himself, surviving a near-death experience has no doubt left a lasting impact, a renewed perspective on life, leadership, and the responsibilities of guiding others while caring for oneself and one's family. And for his daughter, her choice to speak out publicly has sparked a dialogue about mental health, faith, and honesty that will resonate far beyond the walls of any church. As viewers, we are reminded to cherish the moments we have, to support one another in times of struggle, and to recognize that behind every public figure, there are private battles that shape, challenge, and ultimately define who they are. If this story moved you, inspired you, or gave you a new perspective on life and leadership, don't forget to show your support. Like this video, share it with friends who need to hear this story, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Have you ever faced a moment that tested your faith or family in ways you never expected? Subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more revealing stories from the lives of public figures you think you know, but might not. And remember, this is just one chapter. Behind every headline and every viral moment, there's a story waiting to be told, and the next one could be even more shocking. Stay tuned.